সন্ধ্যা সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, আজকে আমরা আমাদের এই অনুষ্ঠানে আপনাকে সাদর আমন্ত্রণ। আশা করি আপনারা আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন এবং আজকে যে বিশেষ পর্বটি আমরা উপস্থিত করতে যাচ্ছি সেটি সারা বিশ্বে পোল্ট্রি শিল্পে COVID-19 অথবা সংক্ষেপে করোনা কি প্রভাব ফেলেছে তা নিয়ে আমরা জানতে চাই একজন আন্তর্জাতিক বিশেষজ্ঞের কাছে, পোল্ট্রি বিশেষজ্ঞ যিনি এ ব্যাপারে অত্যন্ত দক্ষ এবং তার কাজের বড় একটি অংশ কাটিয়েছেন। তিনি আন্তর্জাতিক পোল্ট্রি নিয়ে কাজ করেছেন, বিভিন্ন আন্তর্জাতিক সংগঠনের সাথে জড়িত ছিলেন। তিনি বর্তমানে কানাডায় অবস্থিত আছেন এবং কানাডায় থাকেন এবং তিনি ফ্রেঞ্চ নাগরিক, কিন্তু এখন কানাডাতেই তার অবস্থান এবং সেখানে তিনি আছেন। কিন্তু বিভিন্ন সময় তিনি বিভিন্ন আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনারে অংশগ্রহণ করেন স্পিকার হিসেবে। এবং আপনারা জানেন গত বছর পোল্ট্রি ইন্ডিয়াতে যে সেমিনার ছিল সেখানে একটি পর্বে আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্স নিয়ে তিনি একটি বক্তব্য দেন, সেমিনারে অংশগ্রহণ করেন স্পিকার হিসেবে এবং এখনো তিনি নানা জায়গায় স্পিকার হিসেবে তার বক্তব্য দিয়ে থাকেন। এবং আমরা সৌভাগ্যবান যে আজকে তাকে আমরা আমাদের এই অনুষ্ঠানে অতিথি হিসেবে তিনি সদয় সম্মতি দিয়েছেন। তো এখন আমরা কথা বলবো আমাদের বিশেষ অতিথির সাথে, আপনারা আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন। Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we are today introducing our Dr. Vincent Guionet, who is a poultry expert and working for long with the poultry. I will tell you more detail about Dr. Vincent, and let me welcome him to our show. Dr. Vincent, welcome to our program.
Thank you, Morshed, and I'm looking forward to the discussion this evening for you.
Thank you. Dr. Vincent is an international poultry expert, and now he is a poultry consultant also. He spent his life after this poultry. He had his graduation and he studied in French and then France and then USA. And he worked as a guest lecturer in China, Malaysia, Thailand, Egypt, these countries. And also he was worked with the international organizations like FAO, WHO, then ISO, then OIE, and also he was a consultant of International Aid Commission, and later he was the program head of Livestock Vaccine Innovation Fund, which was a project of International Development and Research Council of Canada, funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And now Dr. Vincent is now running his own consulting firm, especially on poultry, and he is a poultry man actually. So his name of his organization is FFI Consulting. And now I would like to request Mr. Vincent to tell something for our viewers, then we'll go to our main discussions.
Sure. Well, again, a pleasure to be with all of you. I will be speaking in English. Hopefully, with my French accent, you will still understand me. And you know, it's very important to talk about poultry and eggs in this time of health crisis, because really poultry and eggs are a great source of excellent nutrition. And in a time where we all need to prevent ourselves from catching a disease or fighting a disease, you know, good nutrition is important for good immunity. So again, eat well. That's one of the other recipe for staying healthy. And if we look at basically over the past 10 years, you know, the poultry and egg sector on a worldwide basis has grown the fastest. It's quite amazing. Poultry production grew by 41%, egg production by 24%, more than milk, more than sheep and goat meat, for example. So a tremendous impact on poultry and eggs on human nutrition and ensuring food security in all countries. So delighted to be with the players from the poultry sector in Bangladesh.
Thank you, Vincent. We want to actually our viewers may be interested to know something or many things from you about or the poultry, since the poultry industry in Bangladesh is also expanding. You know, it was expanding very rapidly. I think we are about 30 billion dollar investment in this poultry sector, and about 40% of the total meat requirement of the country is from poultry. So you can understand the importance of the poultry. And the egg, we have just reached the target by the FAO, the minimum requirement 104 eggs per person per year consumption, and we reach at now it is 104, something like that. So we are very happy that our egg consumption is increasing, though the farmers are not happy with the pricing. During this COVID situation, the supply chain was broken, and so the producer was producing very low at they are selling at below the half of their cost price. At the same time, consumer was buying at a very high price because the gap of the demand and supply gap. So it took a coronary, it is suffering for the consumers and for both for the producers. So tell me about the what is the consumption behavior of the developed country and European Union before this corona or COVID situation.
Well, yeah, let's look at as an example because it's much easier to compare in terms of egg production, in terms of egg consumption in different countries, right? So typically in Western countries, the consumption. So Western countries, I mean here, Australia, New Zealand, North America, and European countries. Their egg consumption is around between 200 and maybe 280 eggs per person per year. Okay. The very top consumption will be for eggs in Mexico. People consume about 1 egg per person per day. So that's about 367 eggs per year. Japan will be at 333. And then China is around 300. So you see, you have a few countries where it's well above 300. And then you have a number of countries, 200 to 280. That's the big majority. And then in Asia, you have a little bit of a mix of either high consumption, like like in Japan, like in China, even Korea, quite high. And then you have much lower consumption. Again, Bangladesh is doing great. You mentioned, I believe, 104, which is excellent and growing. India is slightly less, and you have countries where it's even less than those numbers. So mostly an issue of production and also an issue of education of consumer, making them realize of the great nutritional value of the egg. The same challenge also with the poultry meat. And then you have other countries even worse off in terms of consumption. If you look on the African continent, on average across the continent, it's 43 eggs per person per year. So it's both, in many cases, both an issue of low production and also low awareness, therefore low demand from consumers. So always important to create demand, work as the producers together to build the market, to build awareness on the great nutritional value of poultry and eggs.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think we got some highlights of the consumers' behavior around the globe, and So, what do you think the impact of the COVID for the consumption behavior around the globe? How the consumers is behaving on their consumption?
Yeah, and I will take mostly examples that I'm aware of from North America and Europe. And obviously, when COVID-19 arrived in countries, we saw a tremendous stockpiling of food. Right, people suddenly buying a lot more, uh, and it ranged from an increase 20% to some countries like Spain. There was about 79% increase in terms of buying food from compared to the previous weeks. So overall, 25 to 50% increase in buying and in sales. And it was not only the quantity of food being bought, but also the how they were bought. For example, again, in the e-commerce, so people buying online food had a tremendous boost with the arrival of COVID-19. In the US, increase in e-commerce was between 5 to 15%. But in it, and that's data from around the month of April, May. In Italy, e-commerce increased by 150% compared to the previous year. E-commerce increased 150% compared to in-store buying was increased by 7%. So you see a lot of people, instead of going to stores, risking their life or risking to catch the disease, really enjoyed buying online. And we had so tremendous in France. There was about 50% increase in the e-commerce. In Spain, about 100%. So really, it boosts e-commerce, and experts believe that now e-commerce is probably at a level that we were not expecting it to be before 2025 or 2030. So COVID-19 crisis boost that sector of the market by about 10 years. So it's quite amazing. China, we had a 400% increase in online shopping. 3 million people, 3 million jobs were created to deliver food to households. So it was quite amazing.
So you mean it's a holding? People are buying more to hold to be safe, so that they are not out of the stock in future or near future. Is it?
Right. Yes, we saw that, and it created actually quite a lot of problems because the supply chain was not ready for it. Right. So if you look at, for example, on the egg business in many countries, we were where we are selling the eggs in cartons, right, in packaging.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
not there was not enough inventory of packaging available to pack all those eggs. And on top of that, the manufacturers of packaging, there was a tremendous demand for packaging all over the world, and they were not able to supply. So many companies had to find, alternative ways to package the eggs, to sell them, to bring them to the market, just because there was a clear shortage in terms of packaging for the product.
yeah. Thank you. I think another big issues in a country like Bangladesh and India and our surrounding countries, that there is some rumors like that the eggs are not good, egg or poultry can affect, it can transmit the COVID in the human being. It happened in India initially in January or something like that. It happened also in Bangladesh. The consumption reduced, not for the supply, demand supply. It's just for the rumors. What do you think? Any comment on this? Do you have any idea? Have you seen it in the other countries?
Well, yeah, I mean, really, the first time I was observing that was with India, with my colleague in India, and I tried to help as much as I could, and I wrote a little paper explaining that, good nutrition and the eggs is excellent in terms of source of different amino acid which you need to build, antibodies to build a good immune system, and that would be true also for poultry products. So really. In a time of crisis, in a time when we actually need healthy nutrition for good good development of immunity, now is not the time to say, "Oh, I cannot eat eggs or I cannot eat poultry meat." So the clear message is very early on. Make sure that you fight those rumors. Make sure that you provide good information, good data. And we know now there were some studies published now probably almost 2 months ago, studies done in Germany that were showing that clearly chickens cannot get infected with this coronavirus, with the responsible for COVID-19. So there is no risk, there is no concern. And we should actually encourage people to eat more poultry meat and eggs, because it's excellent nutritional value, and it will help build a good immune system.
Okay, doctor. Thank you. I think you worked for International Aid Commission for quite a good time. So, can you give any idea that some people, some cardiologists and also some physicians think that eggs are not good for heart and not good for health? What do you think? What is the information we may have from you? What's your guidelines? What's your suggestion on that point?
Well, I think apart from COVID-19, in the past, for too many years, especially for the eggs, that was the one, incriminated. People were concerned about the level of cholesterol inside the egg, and therefore they were limiting their intake of eggs, worried that too many eggs too often during the week will lead to a heart problem. It's been shown now over and over again that this is a myth. This is not true. We need to remember that we need cholesterol in our body, right? Our cells are made with cholesterol, and we need about 1 gram of cholesterol every day, and the body synthesizes cholesterol, or also you can ingest it, and it's a balance. So if you eat more cholesterol in your diet, your body will synthesize less cholesterol. And in the vast majority of people, that regulation works very well. So if you eat food that are richer in cholesterol, it could be an egg, but it could be also liver, it could be shrimp, seafood, and so forth, then your body is going to produce itself less cholesterol. So we know that the dietary cholesterol, the content in cholesterol from the food you will ingest, has very little impact on your overall blood cholesterol level. So do not worry about the cholesterol issues. Again, remember, you got countries, Mexico, people consume 1 egg a day. In Japan, it's about 337 eggs per person per year. So really, you can, they do not have, a high level of heart problem in those countries. So really, an egg is good for your nutrition.
Good. So I think our viewers can have a good, clear idea on that point, that egg is not bad, but whether it is helpful at this situation, especially, and also in normal situation. So thank you for this information. And can you tell us about what will be the impact of COVID on vaccine production and vaccine marketing in the poultry sector? Do you think there will be any impact, because the vaccine, major carrier of the vaccine is aircraft, airlines, and they are stopped for quite a long time. So, and also during the production process of the vaccine, there is some human labor required, and there is a social distancing and lockdown, inavailability of raw material here to there. What do you think? It will be make any chaos or any shortage in the vaccine market? Do you think so?
For animal health, no, I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the processes for manufacturing vaccines are very well, automated, very well managed. A lot of the vaccine, you will have shelf life for about 1 to 2 years. So again, there's a lot of supply. What's important is not so much the production side. It's more to make sure that the vaccine you receive and the vaccine that you're about to use on your farm has been well maintained in terms of the cold chain, right? So if those are refrigerated product, make sure that that there was no disruption in the cold chain because of some of the issues we had around COVID. That's the biggest threat, is really that the vaccine you administer on the farm is not as effective as it should be because it has lost its potency, its efficacy, because of disruption of the cold chain, for example. That's, to me, that's the biggest challenge. About avian influenza or artificial intelligence, because now more and more, and we talk about it,
Sorry.
AI is also artificial intelligence, and is more and more interest and potential application in poultry. In terms of avian influenza, I think obviously, with COVID-19, it's been taking, the AI cases that we've seen has certainly been lower on the priority of issue to be dealing with. And fortunately, I hope it's not because there's less reporting, but right now we're more at a lower rate of report of cases, right? Which does not mean that, something you talked a minute ago, that we need to lower our requirements in terms of biosecurity. Biosecurity is critical. Vaccines are most of the time doing a great job, but vaccine cannot save you on any issues. If the challenge is too high, some vaccine will fail, not because of the vaccine, just because the challenge is too high. So this is extremely important, that even if you use vaccines, you have to respect strict biosecurity measures, strict protocol, good nutrition, all those things, right? Too many times, the danger, producers think, oh, my birds have been vaccinated, therefore I can have sloppy management, or I can do whatever. This is not true. Remember, vaccines are a tool that helps you do even better production, achieve even better results, prevent mortality, but it's a global approach that you need to have. You need to have vaccines, you need to have good nutrition, you need to have good management. Okay, so please, now is the time. Even more, biosecurity is so important. And actually, I would say the poultry sector employees, did very well in this COVID crisis, because we are already used to manage strict, biosecurity, wash our hands, all those hygiene measures that now the whole population had to follow. So overall, I would say, we're well prepared, but biosecurity, please, it's the number one topic that you need to address.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think in the COVID situation, I think most concerned, or most aware people is the poultry people, because they are habituated to use these biosecurity practices in farm, outside farm, and not like other people. They are not caring of these, but everybody related to poultry, even even the feed mill owner, the hatchery, the commercial feed, commercial farmer, everybody knows what is biosecurity, which is not common to other people. Now everybody know what is security, biosecurity, or PPE, what is gloves, what is mask. People know, but in poultry we know much before of this COVID outbreak. So
Yeah.
it's the definitely it is good for us. So another, because Vincent, now I am going with my viewers' questions mostly, because I think they are giving us some feedback. So it is very interesting, some questions, sir. So I am going to share with you. So I think
Okay.
maybe it will help the viewers to understand more that in Bangladesh we don't follow the withdrawal period so seriously. Some people they do, but most of them they don't care for that. And the antibiotics we use, because in Bangladesh is very high temperature, humid, and high humidity, high temperature. So organism is always bacteria, and all the microorganisms also infecting. So we need to use some bacteria antibiotic.
The issue of or use of antibiotics or any other molecules, and the potential residue that you have in food products, is an important one. There's regulations, there's a need for controls by the government, and also a need for a very responsible behavior by producers. Okay, these are very important issues, and one of the best way is probably to work as an industry, as a group of producers that will agree on setting those guidelines adhering to the guidelines. Maybe you have some on-farm audits and verification. Not if you have residues, boiling, cooking is not really fully destroying those residues. So that's why it's very, very important to respect the rules, respect the regulation, implement some monitoring programs. And some companies are doing well because they either promote production without
Yeah.
antibiotics, or they would also have some very responsible, sustainable production, all those things. So I would say that's the best way. We have, veterinarians and also producers. We have to be extremely aware and responsible of the impact of any medication. So the choice of a medication, if you have medication with zero withdrawal, so therefore you can medicate the animals and after that consume the meat or the eggs right away, that should be the choice. The eggs is really an issue because the hens are going to lay an egg every day, so therefore you don't want to destroy that production. So let's be very wise in terms of any drug that we use and the effect it has on the egg. For the meat, for the broilers, obviously you have the flexibility of medicating your birds and then waiting the right amount of time before you send them to the market. Okay, again, so responsible behavior, monitoring systems, and to me, it's best really as an industry, all together, producers agree and make themselves respect those rules.
To use this antibiotic very carefully so that it did not affect these consumers. At the another hand, if it is happen somehow, it is. Do you think the temperature when we are cooking more than 100 degrees Celsius? It's our cooking practice actually. Most our food is cooked and well cooked. It's 100 degree, more than 100 degrees Celsius. Do you think it will destroy the antibiotic residue, whatever, because residue is not a big quantity, it is very little quantity. Will it affect destroy this antibiotic residue?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we have to be very careful with that. Remember, all the residue studies and human food safety, all those things are done very carefully, okay? And all those maximum residue limit that are established are based on knowing how people are going to consume those products, and cooking is part of the process. So I will not gamble on any assumption that cooking is going to destroy the molecule to the effect that it has no effect, potential long-term effect on human health and the building of resistance. So no, the best is respect the rules. They've been established. The withdrawal period must be respected. And again, why are we using antibiotics? Because our birds are sick. Why are they sick? Maybe we didn't vaccinate properly. We did not manage them properly. We did not have biosecurity properly. Remember, antibiotic treatment is a cost. We should avoid that extra cost. And the way to do it is the best possible management of the flock.
So you are you are mostly your suggestion is mostly on practices, management practices of the poultry rearing and
Yes,
its different stages, so that we should be more careful and ethical in every stage of production. This
absolutely.
is, this is your suggestion, right? We
Yep,
should not take the chance on the consumer. Whatever we supply to their table, we should not take the risk on that. This is
no,
your
absolutely.
suggestion.
The long-term future of the sector is based on producing healthy, nutritious, and safe food. We have so many cases of scandal of residues, unauthorized residues that totally destroy the consumption in a country. And therefore, it's not worth the risk, right? We need to work together. We need to have better education program, better use of vaccines, all those things that will reduce and potentially eliminate the use of antibiotics when it's not necessary, when it's not authorized.
Okay. So, Vincent, now we are passing through the COVID situation. It is very painful for everybody around the globe, but it is much more the country like Bangladesh. because we are 180 million, 170 or 175 million people. So and so we have, and our cultivable land is shrinking about 1% every year. But our population is increasing, so we need more food from the lower areas, or cultivable usable land. So we need more productivity, we need more quality product also, and also we should not destroy our environment ecosystem. So that's very difficult to manage in a highly dense populated country like Bangladesh. But yes, we have nothing to do, but we will have to cope with this situation. And what do you think, after this COVID-19, what will be the global poultry industry pattern? What is the major changes you can uh, think for the future? What will happen? How the pattern will be changed?
I
Can you say
think,
that?
yeah, if we look at every financial crisis we had recently, and COVID is also linked to previous financial crises because a lot of people are out of work. They have less money, less income. So every time there's less income, what people are doing in terms of nutrition, they are going to lower or less expensive animal protein. So I would say poultry and eggs, in terms of human consumption, has a great future, even greater than before, if you wish, because money is scarce and people are going to consume more chicken and eggs rather than goat or beef and other animal protein. So that's the good sign. And in terms of the future, also, I think in some countries we saw this health crisis created some shortage of workers. They were not able to come to the farm, or they were not able to be in a processing plant in countries where you have a very big poultry meat processing plant. So I think out of COVID, we are going to see also, we already see on the marketing side an acceleration of e-commerce. In terms of the farming practices, we are going to see most likely an increase in automation, an increased usage of that other AI, the one that I mentioned that we discussed earlier, was artificial intelligence, more smart application that will also help you achieve better efficiencies, better productivity. There is so much that we can manage on our own, but automated systems are able to correct mistakes, condition of the environment, much more accurately and much faster than we can. So that's the one thing. We also see the fact that people tended to like a shorter value chain, so local producers and so forth. So we're going to see maybe an adaptation of the food supply, again, smart food supply, where there's going to be a mix of local, and obviously not all food can come local, but that's some of the trend we see. So I would say more automation, smarter ways to operate, and smarter ways to sell and distribute our products. And I would say also now is the time, probably as a sector, to actively promote the great nutritional value of our products. People are receptive to this type of messages, and being active now is going to carry a long-term impact on the future consumption of poultry and meat products or egg products. Yep.
So we think the more technology based production system and market system will be prevail in future. More
Yes,
technology and internet and the computer system and the software for managing these, and artificial intelligence will be practiced more in the production system.
yes, on a global basis, okay? We need to look at, not all countries are the same level of sophistication of poultry production, poultry and egg production, right? So in countries where we have already maximized efficiencies by human intervention, right? So better nutrition, better management of the birds, the fine tuning of our processes is most likely not going to be done by human, because we already achieved sort of as much as we could, And that's where artificial intelligence is going to boost productivity, right? In other countries, and probably, in the case of Bangladesh, we still need to make improvement just in terms of overall people's management, right? The management of the flocks. Not every producer achieve already the best results. If you have a laying operation, are you able to get 320 eggs per year from your hens? If you are, then most likely your next step could be to have more automation, more artificial intelligence to help you boost productivity. If you're not at 320, if you're not reaching the genetic potential of your birds, you should probably improve already, feeding practices, management practices, temperature control, all those things before considering more sophisticated systems, right? So what I'm trying to say is that artificial intelligence is going to come more and more, and it's going to have more and more of a role. But it's not a substitute for human intervention, for human role into managing the birds. We already need to be doing a good job before considering machines to help us do an even better job, right?
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I think you have given us a very good idea, or a very good suggestion that about this technology-based production, which is not very common here in our country. We are not using too much the ICT and but definitely we are improving on that point, and maybe our producers will use this because our farmers are very small farmers. The average farm size is not more than 5,000 or something like that. So they cannot, everybody, they cannot use this very developed system. Maybe the hatcheries they can practice it, or big farms is not too much.
Yeah.
Another concern is that in our,
Yeah, and I was going to say probably,
please,
with
please.
even for small farm, the first big step could be also to make sure that you are collecting meaningful data, that you know exactly on a daily basis how much your birds are eating, how much water is consumed, the environmental temperature, all those elements. That are already a great added sort of value, because now you have the numbers, you can monitor, you can track. Basically, that's the first step before you can even implement any use of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a sophisticated, high-speed way, high-speed method of analyzing the data that you have. Right? If you don't have the data, I guess AI is going to be of absolutely no value to you. We need that data. So first step, get the data. At some point, when you have too much data to be able to handle it by yourself manually, that's where AI is a great benefit, because now it can interpret, analyze the data very fast, huge amount of data. Small farmers, if you don't have records right now, proper records to make sure that you know exactly at the end of a flock how much the bird ate, what's sort of the cost of your feed, what's the cost of production accurately, then I guess that's the first step. Make sure that you have proper records, proper documentation, that you know exactly all those elements that impact productivity and your return on investment.
Okay. So another issue, I think that most practiced of our country, and it's not in only our country. It's very common in developing countries and African countries also. We are mostly depend on the live birds, whereas the Western world and many Asian countries also depend on the processed food. That is, the yeah, that's not that they are using it and slaughtered and then put it in the fridge and using it. The thing is that we mostly like the live birds, and your
Yep.
place, some countries like this processed food,
Yep.
chicken. So
Yep.
do you think the COVID will give us a lesson that we should go for the processed food? The reason is that during this COVID, we are very much affected due to the supply chain disruption. So if we would have the frozen food, then we would not suffer too much. Then the farmer would have the better price because they could preserve it or consumer can also preserve it, put it in the refrigerator or something like that. But if since it is live, we are habituated to the live bird. So in that COVID period, the supply chain was disturbed. So the consumer could not supply this so the producer could not supply to consumers, and so the result is that consumer had to buy at higher price and producer had to get the lower price. Do you think it's a lesson for us for the future?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very complex issue, and there's a number of elements to consider. You know, there's a cultural thing, the habit, the consumer habits of consuming live versus processed products. Uh, you know, processed product was not easy either, as you probably have seen in the news. So many cases in abattoir, in a meat processing plant where people were infected and the plant had to be closed. All right, so I guess the balance of live market and processed is probably good. Live market, the worry initially, and we see the repercussion, is that people say, well, those live market are dangerous as a potential source of viruses spreading to communities and so forth. So there's going to be a need for probably much stricter regulation. Maybe markets will be, you know, one market, one location will be dedicated just to poultry. Therefore, you don't have mixed species of animals, just poultry going there. That's all you have. Another market, separate location could be for sheep and goats and so forth. So that's the live market aspect. Processing, yes, I mean definitely one of the value, and you mentioned, is that you can process the birds, you can freeze the carcasses, and then after that you can sell them when the price is right. For example, you have production of chickens, the price is low. You don't want to sell those chickens at that time, and there's a low market. You process, you freeze, you keep for later. That's a great buffer in terms of production, but it requires heavy investment in terms of processing plant, in terms of the food chain distribution, frozen product, and then in the stores it's being sold in the frozen section, which also costs a lot more money. So I think it's going to be something that the Bangladesh poultry sector has to consider: the level of investment, the benefit, the value, and also understanding that there's going to be a lot of consumer education that is needed. Right, buying frozen chicken may not something that is very common and obvious to the average consumer in Bangladesh.
What is your message to viewers about the egg? Why they should have more egg at these days? Just a little message from you. And I have another question. That will be my question. Sorry, please.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's all about nutrition. We all say that the eggs is a great source of nutrition, right? But 2 or 3 years ago now, there was a study done by Dr. Yanotti in Ecuador, where they took young children, 6 months old, and they split the group into two. They were coming from poor rural communities, very undernourished, stunting, so growth that was really limited. And for 6 months, half of the children received an egg for breakfast, and the other half received a normal traditional breakfast. 6 months later, they measured the growth rate of those children, the weight, and they saw that they had a significant improvement and reduction in stunting in the children that were given an egg a day for breakfast. So really, we know, we have the scientific data that shows that giving one egg a day, and an egg is so simple, right? It's a great food and it has an impact. And the more, and really what we need to do is with children, don't start giving them at 5 years or whatever. It's already too late. It's really early on that you need to give children proper nutrition. So, and if you feed well those children, you don't have a stunting problem. Stunting, so sort of a growth that is limited, also is also linked with some brain development, mental development. So that's something that you carry all your life. So proper nutrition initially has a great benefit, a great value, a great return on that individual, but also on the society. So eat more eggs. Bangladesh, you're about 104. You mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah.
That's great, but keep doing it. And as producers, and that's one of the role I play. One of my job is that I work with producers to have them group as an organization to be active to promote the nutritional value of the product to make sure that consumers eat more of poultry and eggs. Right? Never assume that an egg everybody knows what it is and therefore they will know how to, they will buy it. We need to constantly remind people of the nutritional value of our food that we produce, of the eggs, and that they need to consume more eggs and so forth. Give them reasons for consuming more eggs, help them find those eggs, give them recipes, all those things. And the best way to grow the market is not by having each producer fight each other for the current market share. Is for all producers putting money together to create a big nationwide advertising campaign, promotional campaign about eggs. Same with poultry. You get all together, and now more consumers are aware of the value of your products, and they will buy your products. So therefore, share, pull together resources to advertise better, promote better your products. Again, and if I may, I guess mention, look at a big company like Coca-Cola. Everybody knows those drinks, right? Yet the company advertise all the time because you need to always constantly be in front of the consumer and remind them of buying your product. And it has to be true with the eggs and with the poultry meat. We need to constantly remind consumers about the nutritional value of our products, and then they will buy.
I think we got this point. This session is very important, and we have seen the result. The International Egg Commission introduced the World Egg Day, and we introduced in Bangladesh. And 2013, we had only 37 eggs per capita per year. You know that we had a paper on that, and now it is 104 within 7 years. And every year, the World Egg Day we are celebrating in bigger way. And nowadays, every day, every organization person, they know about the World Egg Day. Even the community and them consumers, they know about this, and they are aware that yes, you need to have more eggs you can have safely. So definitely, I agree with you that promotion is very important for this. Keep the consumers keep aware of this nutritional value on the benefits of them. Definitely, I think the viewers, many of our viewers are from different organizations, and they are a big have their own company to entity. They can think of that. Definitely, they will understand.
Yeah, and
My
Morshed, I would say, if I may, the World Egg Day, it's great, but it's one day.
yeah,
Promotion of
yeah,
a product, it's not one day. It's big campaign. It's a lot of repetition so that we drive the
yeah.
message to consumers. And it's going to be even more important as the level of income is going to rise in Bangladesh. We've seen that in all the countries. Then people tend to go from the cheaper source of protein. First, it's plant protein. Then they go to animal protein, which is the cheapest would be the egg and the poultry. And then they could go to sheep and goat. They could go to beef. That's the highest, and then maybe higher value fish. So as the level of income rises, people would tend to move away from poultry and eggs and go probably for higher value animal protein. So that's when you actually need to promote even more to remind people of the benefit of your products.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. That's the case. I think we and poultry we are planning. We are discussing with people and media people also so that we can go something like that with the broiler because the egg increased the consumption increased, but broiler we are not happy with the consumption of this and the price also. So another thing is tell me, do you think COVID is only a threat to the poultry industry, or it given us some opportunity? I just want to add one example for to that. The uh, egg consumption increasing. It's very interesting nowadays. You can see after 3 or 4 months now the egg consumption increasing. I think the reason is that, but the food processing industries like egg processing is the, like a restaurant, they are closed, they shut down. But the people who are at home, they are consuming more shell egg because they don't have the alternate. Their income reduced, so they can go for other high value products food. It is a very simple economics. When they have the lower income shrink, they will shift their food habit, they will change their food habit. Egg will be more interesting to them. Do you think it is an opportunity for the egg industry?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because with the confinement, with people staying at home, there's been a huge number of people that typically go out and buy meal that are now preparing their own meal. Right? There's been an increase, and even in the US, for example, where what they call the penetration rate, so the number of houses that have eggs in the fridge is around 94%. So almost everybody has eggs, right? But yet, back in April, they say that for the last 8 weeks before April, so right at the time of the confinement in the US, they noticed that there were 19% of new consumers, buyers of eggs, right? So even though it's already a huge market with a huge penetration, there were still a lot of people, and it was the same thing for poultry meat. Suddenly, people they were not buying those products before because they would go to a restaurant and order and eat it, in a restaurant. Now they had to prepare their own meals, and so therefore it's bringing a lot of new consumers, and with the ideas that once you develop a habit, people say typically after 3 weeks, 21 days, if you do something every day for 21 days, then it's starting to be a habit, and then you have it ingrained in you. So we probably are going to see in a long-term impact is that more people would create their own meals, will prepare them, and will buy those products. But obviously these are products now they buy in the stores, whereas before they were consuming them in a restaurant. So it's a bit of a shift of one channel of distribution, which is the food service sector, which is the industrial sector, the processing product, compared to the retail. So how much will be gain overall? Although you may say people are actually baking more than you would because you're sort of bored and you want to do something. So we did consume probably more food than the baseline. But what we are probably most likely going to see is a shift of the type of products. Maybe not so much a huge increase in the overall amount, but the type of product that would be consumed.
Okay, I think we are end of our discussion, and our viewers they have given us some feedback, which make our discussion here. I don't consider it a very academic discussion, but it is discussion for the viewers and the consumers. Thank you very much for attending in my program, and hope our viewers like all the thing, and they have got enough information from you. And we hope we will see you again in a short time within these COVID days or after the COVID days, and sometime maybe physically if you come nearby, maybe India or China, please visit us and meet us. You will like Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a nice country. I will say that you will like it. I will love to talk to us. You will meet us, and we hope to. Thank you very much. It's your concluding with something from your side.
Morshed, thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm certainly looking forward to the opportunity and the pleasure to return to Bangladesh. As you know, I came to visit you about 4 years ago now, and I would be delighted to do it again. So anytime we can travel, we can organize something, I will come. I will be delighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Thank you very much. জয় দর্শক, আমরা আগামীকাল রাত 9টায় আমাদের পরবর্তী অনুষ্ঠান হবে। আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকবেন